This episode is brought to you by Jackson Hewitt. This year, there's more at stake with your taxes than ever. Thousands more. New tax credits could mean a bigger refund. And Jackson Hewitt Tax Pros are here to help you track down every last credit. Credits for having a baby, going back to school, caring for a parent, and even becoming self-employed. Get credit for all you do, and you could discover thousands of dollars in new tax credits. Schedule an appointment with a tax pro and learn more at jacksonhewitt.com.
Empire.
Welcome to the latest edition of All's Caps with former Capitals defenseman Karl Alzner. I'm AP hockey writer Steve Wino. Later, we will be joined by current Capitals forward Connor McMichael, talk a little bit about playing center in the NHL. He, of course, does Karl's stupid questions. But first, the trade deadline. Your old buddy, your old teammate, Marcus Johansson. What are your thoughts on the moves Brian McClellan made with bringing in Marcus and bringing in Johan Larsson?
Yeah, I think it's pretty exciting. I know a lot of teams made some pretty big splashes, went out and got some really big name players. And, I don't necessarily think you always need to go out there and get those guys. You get people that fit what you need. And we had talked about who might be coming. And I didn't really have JoJo on my radar too much, but when it comes down to it, I think it's an amazing fit because he can play up and down this lineup pretty easily. He knows all the players that are on the top two lines. And he can pass the puck still so good. He can still skate really well. He's the other piece to complete Nick Backstrom, as we've joked around. They kind of go together, they're a good duo. So I really like having JoJo here. I think from what he said when I texted him that this is the only place he wanted to go to. So someone that comes to a situation that they are really excited about and you get more out of them, It's not like he just got traded to somewhere and now he's got to figure things out. He knows this place. So I think you're going to get something good out of JoJo. And then Larsson, we talked about it a little bit. He's going to slot in nicely and just kind of round out the forward crew because there's been just so as much depth as possible. And the fourth line, as I always say, the fourth line on this team has been so valuable for this team over the last couple of years. Of course, that you need to have. You need to have good options there, and I think that he's gonna really help them out.
Let's first of all, we need people to stop calling him Mojo because no one called him Mojo, right? Like this is a thing that fans did, and every once in a while I was like, what was his nickname? It was never Mojo, right?
It's so funny that you say that. So at times people called him Mojo, but it was usually JoJo. Like that's just right. Or Bajojo is what we would call him too. And so my wife Mandy the other day, she was calling him Mojo. And she said, that is what you guys called him, right? I'm like, well, not so much. We called him more JoJo than Mojo. But anyways, it's whatever. Like you can call people whatever the heck you want, as long as you understand. Some people say OV, some people say OV. It's just kind of whatever you wanna say. It's just he may not respond to you if you say it to him.
Right, and that's I just want to keep it correct with JoJo as the nickname. But you're right, and this is what Brian McClellan said, and Peter Laviolette says about Marcus Johansson is you can move him up and down the lineup, and I think even Johan Larsson, if you need to in a pinch play him in a top 9 role, you can do it. But you have there's a mix that I see on this team now. Is you could go Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, Wilson, Mantha, Backstrom, Johansson, and then Sherry, Eller, Oshie, and Larsson or AJF with Dowd and Hathaway. That's a pretty solid forward core and a really good top 6 on defense as long as Trevor Van Riemsdyk is healthy.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And then we think about the power play too. Like JoJo played that half wall and the low guy on the power play for years. He knows exactly what to do. So, a lot of times when the top unit comes off the ice, you still have Ovi out there. You sometimes have Carly and Orly switch or whoever is going to switch Schultz. But now you put JoJo out there, who has been a top line power play guy for this team for lots of years in the past and can still do it. So you still have lethal players that are out there and someone who can get that pass from the goal line or the half wall all the way to Ovi if that's what you want to do. So it's not the big splash that, like I said, that some teams did, but it's kind of a sneaky splash, I think. And as long as he stays healthy, because he's had some injury troubles too over the years, yeah, I think it could be really good. And I'm really hoping that, mental state for him is going to really bring him to that level.
Yeah, and we'll save your best Marcus Johansson stories. Hopefully, have him on this podcast very soon. But Johan Larsson's a guy who's coming off sports hernia surgery. You had that core muscle surgery, right, Karl?
Yeah, I did.
How tough is it coming back from that?
I think everybody's a little bit different because, Joe Ward had it. I think Chimmer may have had it.
I think you're right.
Richards had it. Like, lots of guys have had this. And I asked them all about it. Like, what's the recovery like? What do I do exactly? And some guys recover different than others. For me, it was really hard because I had the ab tear in conjunction with the groin tear. And it was, I was trying to rehab one versus the other at the same time. And it just didn't go that great for me. I couldn't sprint or do any sort of running exercises for 3 years after that. And so that's not really the way you train when it comes to hockey. So I had to try and find something else. So it can be different for everybody. Trotzy was the one that brought it up to me that he had a player that was never the same after they had it done. And so you need to find a way to adapt. And unfortunately, the game is very fast. And if you don't have speed, you don't really have too much success in the league. So, I'm not sure exactly how he's feeling, but you lean on the trainers as hard as possible to help you get there.
Yeah, and good news is he appears to be about a week or so away from being available to partner in his first practice on Wednesday, and should be able to join this lineup very soon. Let's talk about what Brian McClellan and the Capitals did not do at the deadline. They didn't add a goaltender. They didn't add a left shot depth defenseman. How comfortable are you with the moves not made at the deadline?
Yeah, well, so the big one is the goaltending. That's the one we talked about the most. And what I'm really happy with, and I feel proud for him, is Vitek Vanacek. Like he I'm sure heard all the rumors, probably heard it being talked about all the time, and he grabbed that job and he's been playing solid. Like definitely I think good enough. Obviously good enough that Mac didn't feel the need to go out there and pay maybe a little bit extra for some sort of rental or whatever he was going to do. I think he should feel very proud of the fact that maybe the staff and the management showing some confidence in him to be the guy. And yeah, I think his game is definitely turned around. I mean, you probably watch it a little bit closer than I do, but yeah, that didn't happen. And the defense, I think for them it's just about health. I think they're good enough to be able to play and make a big run. So I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, it's hard. You got lots of teams vying for these players, and the price can be high, and they clearly need to continue to start building through the draft over the next couple of years. You don't really want to give away too many assets.
And I actually think that the defense move is the one I think Brian McClellan maybe should have, just in case of injury. But if those top six guys stay healthy, and you've got Faravari and Carlson, and you've got Orlov and Jensen, and you've got TVR and Schultz, that's a pretty solid six. And unlike the year you guys had seven, I don't think Peter Laviolette's going to dress seven defensemen anytime soon.
Fine, yeah, I hope not. I don't like no defenseman like 7D, no forward like 7D either. I don't think so. Yeah, hopefully that's not the case. But yeah, they need to stay healthy. And speaking of that, let's just talk about the Carlson Jamie Benn thing.
It was dirty, right?
Made me feel sick to my stomach. I don't imagine Ben expected that to happen, but that's just one of those plays where you just can never ever do it. And if you look, even watch it in slow mo, like it wasn't that big of a cross check, but all it takes is a perfectly timed cross check, and he ends up catching an edge and going into the boards. Like I felt sick watching that, and it's like my biggest nightmare as a hockey player is to go into the boards like that with that much speed. And it's happened to me a couple times on the half wall, and it's just gross. Like you feel sick when it happens to anybody on the ice. So we can't have anything like that happen, especially to the big boy. That would be not good.
No, and it was dirty, and Peter Laviolette said it after the game, and it was one of those where I don't think and you know this, and I think having watched enough hockey that we have that and played enough that you have, that it doesn't take a whole lot of action there to just kind of like contort John's body a little bit to lose the edge, because even a little bit of contact when you're racing for the goal line, really more than the puck there, but like a little contact can make a big difference.
Yeah, and so it's one of the things that happen. Like you're putting so much pressure on your edges at different times of the stride, and if someone gets you in when you're putting all your weight on one edge and they give you just a little tap, or you're about to put your weight on one, just like Carly was in that instance, you're done. Like you go down. And sometimes why you see these guys, it may look like a flop sometimes when they're flying in the air and the gloves go wild and everything, but it's just a perfectly timed jab to the back of the leg. Or, I would always do this on face-offs especially when the hash marks were closer together. When I was on the half wall, so if you can envision this, in the D zone, I was up against the boards. I would always just line up with my stick right in front of the forward skate. And just as the puck was about to be dropped, I knew that they were going to be pushing off, and I would just tap the top of their skate and they would fall, and I would have just free reign to get the puck and wheel behind the net. And then I did it to Mike Rivero one time in Nashville, and he was looking in the stands because Ribs was kind of one of those guys that was just as good of a player he wasn't always, laser focused on what was happening. And I remember doing that to him, and he went just faceplant into the ice, and he came over. He's like, "Man, what are you doing? You're making me look stupid out here." And I'm like, "Well, you weren't paying attention, so I had to get you." And it's just one of those little things that you just get them at the right time. Then they move the hash marks further apart, and then I couldn't quite do it as much. And it's, I lost one of my little tricks. But anyways, as I was saying, you just got to be careful. Like that stuff happens, and you just hope, like Carly went into the boards. Like he probably couldn't have gone into the boards any better than he did.
Right.
Like it was still violent looking, but like he went in, he didn't go full shoulder. He didn't go all knee. Like I think he was very lucky.
One more thing before we bring in Connor McMichael. Daniel Sprong, not long for this place, was not a fan. Peter Laviolette was not a fan of Daniel Sprong. What do you think didn't work out with Daniel Sprong and the Washington Capitals?
It just didn't seem, just couldn't quite find the groove, right? We saw like flashes of really, really good play, and talking to the guys and some of the coaches, like they said that this guy shoots the puck the same way Ovi does. Yep. Maybe not as accurate as Ovi. Ovi is one of the best all time, but in terms of speed and how it can come off the stick, like that's an asset, right? It's hard to find guys like that, but unfortunately for him, there is another guy like that, and he happens to be the best goal scorer in the world right now. And if Sprong had that spot on the power play, he may have been scoring 20, 30 goals for this team. But unfortunately, you got one guy, and he plays a minute 45 on the PP all the time, and plays on the top line, and there's doesn't seem to be a space for you. So if you can't do that role, you need to find something else, and it just didn't seem to materialize. So you have to move on, and it's unfortunate for him because it could have been fun. It would have been really fun to see him succeed, but that's the business, man. You lose friends all the time. You lose people you like, and it's just the way that it works.
And the way I described it is he just doesn't. He didn't score enough to make up for the other areas of the ice he wasn't good enough at. And like you could afford some of the defensive liability and the turnovers and some of the lazy plays if he's putting the puck in the net a bunch, and he just wasn't scoring enough to outscore those problems.
Well, that's exactly right. You look at a guy like Ovi, and I think his game has come. Sure. It's so much more well-rounded now than maybe when he was younger, but he made up for it by scoring 50 goals every year. So it's like, yeah, okay, do that, and we'll figure the rest out. A guy like me, for example, I couldn't score, so I had to play really hard D, and I had to block lots of shots because I knew that's where my ticket was. And those are the guys that find ways to stick around as you find out what your role is. And like these guys, like they come from junior and they're the guy most of the time, right? They're the ones that are scoring 50, but not everybody can do that in the pros, and you just got to find your spot. And so, maybe on a different team, he is the goal scorer, but on this team, like you said, needed to find something else that would make him successful and make him sticky.
Speaking of junior stars who have to find their way in the league, next up on All's Caps, we are going to be joined by Connor McMichael.
From scholarships to student services, ASA College provides the support you need to make earning a college degree accessible and attainable. Their industry-experienced instructors go beyond teaching. They coach towards career goals. And with on-campus, online, and hybrid learning options, ASA College is ready to show you why you should expect more from education. Enroll now and learn more at asa.edu.
Ever wondered where all the Quiznos went? Or how much a Chick-fil-A owner makes? What about how exactly someone gets started with owning a Planet Fitness? The Wolf knows. The Wolf of Franchises is an industry insider who breaks down the everyday franchises you know and love and introduces you to ones you never knew existed. Subscribe to the Wolf of Franchises newsletter at workweek.com/brand/the Wolf of Franchises.
Welcome back to the All's Caps podcast with former Capitals defenseman Karl Alzner and joined by current Capitals forward Connor McMichael. I'm AP hockey writer Steve Weiner. Connor, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, so you're our first active Capitals player to be on this, so we are very honored to have you on here. Heard from Peter Laviolette recently just about you playing center in the NHL. You've done it at multiple levels. What's different about it in the NHL, and how much more comfortable have you felt on the ice playing that natural center position?
Yeah, for sure. It's a little bit different than any other level I play on, for sure. I mean, you just got to be quicker decisions, and you always got to be tight on your man. I mean, you're playing against a lot of good players in this league, and if you fall asleep for a second, it could be in the back of the net. So you always just got to be on your toes, always reading the play, and that's kind of just something different than the junior level, whereas you can kind of get away with a couple things. But for the most part, I thought I've been good this year, and I for sure enjoy playing center a lot more than wing.
Yeah, the level of responsibility that a centerman has is just crazy. I mean, you get so much to do out there, relied on so heavily by the D, obviously in the D zone, and then again by your line mates. And you get to see a couple pretty good players doing it. Nick has been first guy back and first guy on the forecheck for quite a few years, so it's probably nice to watch someone like him. But like, what would you say? I guess you can pick up different things from each guy, but I like talking about Nick. I love highlighting him any chance I get, and I know he's been injured a bunch. But like, what do you see that Nick does that you would like to maybe do a little bit more of? You think?
He's just so smart with the puck. When he has the puck, he can see the game and in ways that other guys can. And I feel like the game's just a lot more slow for him. And I call him a wizard with the puck because he's finding guys when he's not even looking in that direction. And game in and game out, he's always amazing guys with what he's doing. So he's just so responsible on our own end as well. And he logs a lot of minutes, rightfully so. So it's really fun watching him out there.
The Capitals are going to honor Nick Backstrom Saturday night, a pregame ceremony. Fans are going to get these squishy apple Nicky 1,000-point things. It's going to be a weird night. But you guys have been playing well lately, Connor. Is there something that's clicked differently that you've seen team-wise that has kind of helped you guys win these 7 games in March?
Yeah, I just think that we're playing with a lot more confidence in our game. We kind of had a stretch there that we weren't too happy with, and we weren't playing the game that we wanted to. And I think we just got back on track with a couple of big games, and the team just started clicking, and you can feel that energy that we had in the start of the year coming back. And it's just a lot of fun playing right now, and I know the guys are having a lot of fun.
I mean, obviously we talk a lot of Caps hockey here, what's going on, but I kind of like to learn a little bit about the people that come on and try and get a little insight. But before I ask you one question about the London Knights, because I'm always so curious about the London Knights, I got to let you know that I'm actually using your curve in my men's league.
Yeah,
I needed someone with a little more pop, and so Dave hooked me up with one of those. And,
how are you liking it?
I actually like it quite a bit. Like, thing just flies off. Except my first, I'll give you this. I had a breakaway in our shootout to win it, and because you got a little bit more flex than I do, and I went to go and wide open net. Like, I'm talking wide open net. Just change the angle on the goalie a little bit. And I went to go sling one, like just pass it into the net. And the thing just rocketed off my stick, off the post, like a foot and a half further right than I was expecting. So it's just, I mean, it's one of those, like, just to talk about sticks for a second, because it's changed so much over the years, and guys seem to be using a little bit more flex. Like, so for someone like you, I mean, you're battling hard in the corner, so you kind of want, and face-offs and stuff too, you kind of want something that's a little bit maybe more rigid, but you got quite a bit of bounce to your stick. Is that something that you've changed at all over the years, or is just like, it's just you've been your go-to?
Yeah. So when I got into junior, I actually, just designed that stick, and I kind of got a little heavier than most sticks, just because in face-offs and battles, I like to have a little heavier stick. But I think what I did was I changed the blade. I made the blade a little bit softer, so I just find that the puck, like you said, it kind of just slingshots off your stick a little bit more, and the shaft is more heavy. So I think I covered most areas that I need in my game.
Nice. Okay, let's go to those junior days for a second, because the London Knights is kind of like, they're the cream of the crop when it comes to the CHL and Canadian hockey. What did you like about that? What's so good about that city and the organization, the Hunters, what they got going on there? Or did you have a great experience? I mean, let us know what you thought.
No, for sure. Like they say, London's the best place to play junior hockey, and I can back that up. I was there for 3 years, and every year just got better and better with the Hunters, and they for sure know how to run a ship over there. And as you've seen, there's so many good players that have gone through that organization, and how many games and what they've accomplished over there. So the Hunters are great, and the city of London's great. I mean, we sell out every single night, 10,000 a night. So it's pretty cool. It's literally like playing in a mini NHL city. So it's a lot of fun. And I know a lot of guys that play there enjoy it a lot.
Yeah. For people listening that don't understand London, like you are a god in London when you play. Like you got the big, what is it? Western? Is that the university?
Yeah.
So you got all you young guys running around and a bunch of college kids running around. It's got to make for a pretty interesting time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the city has a lot of mix of everything. You got the college students, you got the older folks, and everyone's at our game. So it gets pretty rowdy, and it's a lot of fun.
Karl, I went to London when Dale Hunter coached you guys. I went to London and spent like 3 or 4 days there. I was a god in London by the time I left, and I was just hanging out there.
That's amazing. Yeah, when he's your the owner and coach and stuff, you sometimes don't get to see the light side of him. But like you can ask Carly about some of the times we spent with Huntsy in the sauna. Like he'd be in there in the morning sweating it out, and me and Carly would come for a sweat, and he'd be in there and he'd just be telling us stories. And he's just such a good human, and
so cool.
Doesn't talk a whole lot, but no. He's a good guy to be around. So one of the things that I was very into when I played was my my superstitions, my routines around the rink. Are you finding that you're getting into anything different like that? Or are you a guy that doesn't like to have any superstitions or routines? Or do you find that the more you play, the more you feel like you have to kind of zone into something to get your mind right?
I mean, I don't have anything too crazy, but I know a lot of the guys on the team are pretty into the superstitions. And but for me, it's my only one that I really have is I don't let the blade of my stick touch the floor in the dressing room or anything before I hit the ice. I don't know. It's just something I've always done. And then, I don't know, sometimes I'll try it a couple things. And then if it works, I have a good game or something, I'll try it again kind of until I don't have a good game or whatnot. So I don't know. I'm just mixing in a lot of things, but the blade thing's probably my biggest one that I've stuck with for a long time.
Make sure if no one's told you yet, make sure ask the guys about John Erskine and some of the ones he has, because it was outrageous, absolutely outrageous.
Yeah, I've seen some pretty crazy ones on our team, honestly, but I'm sure there's a lot out there.
Yeah, there is. And then the pregame handshakes. Are you involved in any right now? Because that's just taking the hockey world by storm. Like all the cup taps and what the guys have going. I know O is pretty loud. Same with O. But are you part of anything right now? And does it make you nervous that you're going to mess it up whenever you run through?
I probably got about 10. So I don't have one with everybody, but even with the handful that I have, it's nerve-wracking, honestly. Like, you're gonna forget. I don't know how these guys remember every single thing that they're doing with every guy, because sometimes a guy comes up to me and I kind of forget what we're about to do, and I kind of just wing it. But it's crazy, some of the handshakes that these guys got going.
It's so impressive to me. And then one more thing I want to know, because I loved a people watcher. Like, even now, if I waiting for the kids at school at pickup or whatever, I'm always seeing what the other parents are doing. Like, I'm just a people watcher. Same thing at the rink though. Like, is there anyone that you find yourself watching all the time? Like, just what they're doing to prepare on the ice, just impressed, like, in practice. We go back to Backy. I'd always watch Backy, see what he's up to. But do you find yourself kind of like narrowing in on anybody specific because either they do weird things or you're just curious what they do? Like, I was lucky too. I got to play with Sergei Fedorov. So Fedorov was not dust, right? Anything fans did, we wanted to know. So that's kind of what happened for me.
Yeah, I mean, for me, a big one is for sure Ovi. Just growing up, Ovi was that guy from the kids my age, and it's just really cool playing with him. So sometimes I just catch myself watching what he's doing, and he's got some crazy things going on as well. But another guy is also Kuzi, probably. Kuzi's always changing his tape job up, changing sticks, everything, and I'm always paying attention what he's doing with his equipment and stuff, because you've seen Kuzi. he's unbelievable out there, and he's really fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. I know, like, even though that you're a pro, you're at the top of the level, you still like to watch what the other guys do and copy some of the things that they do, because these guys are still 10, 15 years older than you, and like you said, like, you grew up watching them, so we're still fans of the players, even though you're playing with them, and it's kind of funny how you pick up on what everybody else is doing.
And we're fans too. I mean, right? Like, I mean, I'm glad, Connor, you get a chance to play with Ovi and Nick and all these older guys. At any point, do you catch yourself just almost in awe of those guys on the ice?
I mean, for sure. I mean, just 3 or 4 years ago, I was just a fan of the NHL. I just loved watching hockey, and I would look up to all these superstars. And I'm fortunate enough to play with a lot of guys who will probably be in the Hall of Fame, like Ovi, Backy. Johnny's unbelievable. All these players. It's cool to be out there with them and just watch them, what they do every single day, and how good of players they are.
Just from my own experience here, if I can give any advice, like, collect as many Ovi sticks as you can, Backy sticks as you can. We used to sign them all at the end of the year. You'd sign like 40 sticks, and guys would just go and grab a few. And I collect sticks while I played, so I have a good collection. But like, just load up on these things, because it's something that you'll appreciate later. I never got any Fedorovs, and it pisses me off that I never did. And it's just something that you'll appreciate down the road. So please stock up on these things, especially for milestones.
100%. 100%. I mean, I haven't got any sticks yet, but I'm still trying to just get used to things around here still before I go asking around. But I'm sure the guys.
Talk to Woody. Woody's the guy. He hooks you up. Whatever you need, he's the man for it.
Yeah, for sure. Woody's a beauty.
He is a beauty.
Long season and a long NHL career coming for Connor McMichael. When we come back on All's Caps, Connor will be the latest victim of Karl's stupid questions.
This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. With LinkedIn becoming #1 in B2B display advertising in the US, you've got a great advantage. With their tools, you can stand out against your competitors while nurturing customer relationships and growing your brand. So scale your marketing and grow your business with LinkedIn advertising. As a thank you to their customers for helping them grow 3 times faster than the competition, LinkedIn is offering a $100 credit on your next campaign. Just go to linkedin.com/marketing.
This episode is brought to you by Simple Mobile. Tired of being tied down with a wireless contract? Switch to Simple Mobile and stay connected on a powerful nationwide 5G network. Unlimited talk, text, and data starts at $30 a month with no contracts, activation fees, or credit checks. Visit simplemobile.com today. Out with the old, in with the simple. Compatible 5G capable device and SIM required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. 5G network not available in all areas. 1 month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at simplemobile.com.
Welcome back to All's Caps with former Capitals defenseman Karl Alzner and current Capitals forward Connor McMichael. I'm AP hockey writer Steve Wino, and now Karl's favorite portion of the show, Karl's stupid questions.
Yes, all right. So we've already given a little rundown to Mikey about what's going to happen here, so I'll spare everybody the that pain. Okay, so the first question here is what do you find yourself doing on the plane? Do you watch movies? Do you read books? Do you play cards? What do you do right now, and what do you think you want to do? Because I know there's some things with rookies, and sometimes they can't get into the card games, and you got to sit at the front. So what do you do on the plane right now, and do you think you'd ever get into the cards and stuff like that?
Right now, I'm a big movie guy, or just listen to music, or just talk to some guys. Basically, just chilling over there in my seat. But in the future, I'd like to be on the card table. I'm a big cards guy. I like playing cards, so that'd be something that would be fun for me.
Make sure you always find out what the buy-in is before you play.
Yeah, I've seen some of the guys' losses. They're not. Some of them aren't pretty.
Yeah, it can get tough sometimes, but it's fun. Okay, this one, it's a good question since you're so fresh into your career. At this point, do you think you would rather play 5 years and win a cup, or play 15 good years? Like a solid, top line guy, second line guy, but never win a Stanley Cup.
I'd probably pick the 15 years, to be honest. I just love hockey, and, I can't imagine only playing for 5 more years. So I feel like I'd rather have a solid career where I can enjoy what I'm doing and enjoy playing hockey until I can't anymore.
You know what? I think that's the most honest answer we've had for that, because that's a great way to put it. You love the game. You don't want to stop playing. And as much as you can play. I mean, it's a tough balance right there, but I love the honesty there.
Yeah,
So
don't get me wrong. I'd love to win a Stanley Cup, but I just love the game of hockey too much. And so
I was going to say there's nothing stopping you from playing 15 years and winning the Stanley Cup here. So that things can still happen.
Yeah, for sure. Hope that is what happens.
Yeah. Okay. So who do you consider to be the best athlete on the team? I know people would be surprised at how unathletic professional hockey players or any athletes could be at other things. And, you play soccer and see guys in the gym and all that. Who would you say is the best athlete on the team?
Honestly, I'd probably say Osh. I mean, it just seems like Osh is good at everything, golf. I know he used to play basketball, and then you've obviously seen him on the ice. He's just, it seems like everything he does, he's above average in or excellent in. So, I'd probably say Osh.
Yeah, I don't know all the guys on the team now, but I would agree with that. Osh is insane. Like, we would warm up playing basketball before the game. He's just so smooth, so much style. Like, I don't know how he does it, just an all around.
He's got all the tools.
He does. Big toolkit on that guy. Who is your celebrity crush right now? Do you have a celebrity crush?
I'd probably say I was a big Carrie Underwood guy growing up, honestly. But right now, I'd probably say Madison Beer, little singer, TikToker. That's what the kids are into these days.
That's out of our age range, Karl.
Yeah, I have to look her up. I've never Madison Beer or Bear?
Yeah, Beer.
Good last name though.
Yeah.
All right, I'll look her up. Okay, so I just want to stray for a second really quickly because I'm curious, what have you done anything kind of outlandish? This isn't part of the question, so it doesn't count. When with buying anything, like I'm thinking back, like I remember all the guys who go to Hugo Boss, they get nice suits or something like that. And I could never really bring myself to do it, at least the first couple of years. And I'm curious, have you guys been to the mall doing anything like that? Something that you're just so proud of that you got yourself?
Nothing really crazy. At the start of the year, I didn't have too many suits. So I went out and bought a few new suits, which felt nice for me, but nothing really too crazy other than that, just the odd purchase here and there.
Where'd you go for the suits? We need to know.
I went to Stain Liberty.
Oh, really?
You ever heard of that?
That's really solid.
Yeah, it's good. Their suits are really nice.
Okay. All right. So follow up to that. If you could be the face of any business or product, what do you think it would be? What would you want it to be?
Like an existing? I don't know. Probably Amazon, honestly. I don't know. You can't really pass that up. Yeah.
I like watches. So for me, it would be either Rolex or Richard Mille. Love watches. Ask Marcus Johansson about watches. He's a big watch guy.
He's a big watch guy?
Big watch guy, yeah.
I'll have to keep an eye out for his wrist, see what he's got going on.
He's got a little bling going on. It's pretty impressive. All right, last question for you here, and don't worry, no Caps fans will take offense to this because they know it's just one of my stupid questions. But from the other teams that you've seen so far and the cities that you've been to, if you had to sign on the dotted line today to play for another team in another city, what would the top three that you would choose, you think?
I'd say my number one would probably be Toronto, just because I'm from Toronto. I think it would be cool. Just cool, growing up, I was a fan. Number two, I thought Montreal was cool. It's a cool city.
That's a sore subject on this show.
I'm grimacing right now.
And my third, probably LA. I like the warm weather. I like the city. It was my first time there this year. I thought it was pretty cool.
So clearly you don't care about taxes because those are the three of the highest taxes in the entire league. Eventually you'll think about that.
You won't wind up in Laval. You don't have to pay escrow like Karl did.
That's very true. Yeah. We're always looking at per diem management and escrow management.
Yeah, there you go. That's the way to go.
All right. So that's the six and a half questions I had for you. Just quickly put these into my calculator. 15 good years, truth. Oh, she nailed it. Amazon, sheets, taxes. I like your answers. My calculator is coming up with 134 points.
There you go. What's the highest? You're going to have to let me know what the high score is.
Well, we got a 274.
But that's an aberration. That was a weird one. You were driving at the time.
Yeah.
No offense to Greg, but like that was you botched that one.
It was 274 Canadian because I had to go across the border that day. So it was more.
Yeah. So the exchange kind of works out.
Exchange worked out. Yeah, you're in the top five, top six. So it's pretty solid. Congrats on that. You should feel very proud.
Thank you.
That is a top 6 in Karl's Stupid Questions. Top 9 forward on the Washington Capitals, Connor McMichael. Thank you very much for joining us on All's Caps.
Yeah, thanks guys for having me.
Appreciate you.
And everybody, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.